Jalo. Alright, hi. So I decided to make. I'll try not to look at my notes, but for the beginning part. But so I decided to make a second confessional for tonight, and then I'll probably stop because I have some other stuff that I need to take care of. So pretty much this is like the hyphy confessional. The first one was like when I was totally like in like rehab, type of like clean, type of like just smooth, kind of like confessional. I watched it back already and I thought it was pretty good for my usual confessionals, just because like I was in such a good mood or like a happy vibe. Alright, so I wrote down this is a more hyphy confessional where I smoked a little bit, had some coffee. So I don't know if I'm more like hyped up or like relaxed, but I think a lot of people are kind of like this anyway, like usually. So I'm not like super sober. So I don't know why I'm talking about it, but One World, I watched the premiere and I don't really remember anything too much about it. All I really remember, like before, like when I was picking out the DVD, all I really remembered was Kim and like how she controlled all the women, how she controlled the game, how she dominated all the immunity challenges. And I was like, yeah. And then it was more of like an inland season, and I don't remember too many water challenges, which I think could like kind of affect the game. Like mostly the challenges, obviously, if you don't have too many water challenges. Right, and I do remember the poop scene, like when Chelsea was like doing laundry, like boiling clothes, and Tarzan like threw his like poopy shorts in the pot she was boiling the clothes in. There was like a spider, and she was like, "That's poop," and he was like, "No, that's not poop. That's dirt." So yeah, I remember that. And then and then I kind of wrote a bunch of stuff that was more like personal or what's going on in my head, and I was kind of just like, when I'm feeling good, I was trying to explain how I felt like earlier in that previous confessional because I was feeling like really good. So what I mean by that, like when I say I'm feeling really good, what I mean by that is just like I'm not always ruminating in my own thoughts like the whole day, and it's kind of helped that I've verbally said what those were out loud, like the stuff I was constantly thinking about. It's kind of helped that I actually spoke it out loud a little bit. And then it was mostly just the problems in the neighborhood I was in. And some people have commented, like, John, maybe it's just your environment, or maybe it's the city you live in, like San Francisco. Like, I know, and I'm sure other people know that SF is kind of like a weirdo kind of like city. Like, there's a lot of just weird people, you know. And like, elaborate, like, I don't know, you see people just like, the weirdest thing I've ever seen is like, I was going to my friend's house, and then like I am going down the block and I'm about to turn right and cross the street, and there's like this dude like in his front yard, and his thing is out, and he's just standing there. And I was looking at him, trying to like make sure I was seeing what I was seeing, and I just kind of looked away and just kept on going to the house I was going to. But that kind of stuff is weird, I think. And like even in Daly City, like the houses are really close, and like in your backyard you can see into other people's backyards. I didn't think it was weird growing up, but like looking back, it is a little bit kind of rude. Like there would be like this one dude who would constantly be like on his little hill, like in his backyard. And on his hill, he could see into my backyard and everyone else's. And he would like always call for his cat's name. It was like Charlie or something. And he would be on his little hill, like screaming his cat's name. And I would just casually go in the backyard and like smoke or whatever, and I could see him, he could see me, and I would just never say anything to him. But I thought that was kind of like rude a little bit because there's other people there, you know. And like I don't know if I just got used to it, but one of my other neighbors, who was like this Filipina dude, who like tried to like be a cop, and he could never pass like the physical examination. But he had like a pet chicken that he kept for like 15 years, and it would always like make that chicken waking up noise at like 4:30 in the morning, and no one ever complained. And it was like the weirdest thing. Why would you keep like a pet chicken in your backyard that's so loud in the morning? But or another one is my annoying aunt. And I was like, it bothers me so much. And like sometimes I have these thoughts ongoing, and I try to like play games to kind of like not think about it, and it works. But the moment I stop and I like have another thought again, like to myself, it's always these like kind of like annoying, like bothersome thoughts about like people I don't like and stuff like that. And when I'm feeling good, I can kind of sit and relax or smoke, and I don't feel anxious or bothered or uncomfortable. And at first, I used to think the whole uncomfortable thing was just me being overweight, or my being like big. And like it's hot here, you get kind of sweaty, and like your clothes are always like sweaty. But mostly it was just like, just back to the annoying aunt. She was here when we all arrived at at this house in the Philippines, and like her welcome was like so unwelcoming, and like I hate her face, and like how she never smiles, and like just everything about her. And it's like, I guess people from other countries like outside of the US are like that. Like in America, it's like normal, or like it's safe to just be kind of like, yeah, like cheery and like how are you, like that. But like here, I notice it sometimes, like people always have this like scowl on their face, or they're never smiling, or like if you're like a shopkeeper, and like they don't really schmooze the customers like we do. They're just like that all the time, and it's not really friendly, it's not really welcoming. And how to explain how I feel right now is like, number one, the house is clean, and I'm doing the same old stuff and even thinking the same old stuff, but I don't feel anxious or worried about what might happen. And now most of the time, I'm thinking of just like the basics, like survival. A lot of food, water, and like sometimes I even feel anxious about what I'm playing and beating games. Kind of like I pick a game to play and I feel like I have to like stick with that game until I beat it, or I'm constantly thinking like, when is this game gonna end? Like, how many more hours until I consider it beaten? I'm always like thinking about stuff like that instead of just like finding a game I enjoy playing and just like, hopefully I'd be thinking like, oh, like just keep playing until the game ends, or like hopefully the game would never end because you're having so much fun, or just like some benign thought like that. And I always thought that was kind of weird. That was like a weird feeling I had about games. And the paranoia is almost totally all gone from before, because like I remember writing in my lab journal, I was kind of like, I feel paranoid all the time. Like, it was mostly like this, probably just the feeling of just people just like in the neighborhood. Like, when you're like, when you just know there's people like outside or like in their houses and stuff. And it was kind of just that, I guess, but I didn't know that as a kid. But I don't know, I always felt like people were watching me or something like that. Or even worse, like people were like thinking about me or something. And here, I don't really get that feeling anymore. Like, the worst feeling before was probably when I would be like doing a vlog and someone would like interrupt me or something. Like, I would always be kind of like fearful of that. But now I don't really think about any bad things like happening, or like being so worried about stuff like that. I think I'm pretty tough, like, and like I had tough friends and everything. And I think like if anything were to go down, like I wouldn't back down, so I kind of feel like that. And now I'm just looking forward to my or our nighttime routine, or nighttime workout routine. So pretty much in my like late teens, like I made a couple friends and we would always work out at night. And it wasn't like a huge workout. We never really used weights or anything, but it was just mostly calisthenics and like push-ups and stuff, like just doing things here and there. And I always noticed they were really kind of like happy or like in a jolly mood whenever I would be like in a workout mood. I don't know why. It was probably because like I don't know, they wouldn't expect me to join them in their workout, but sometimes I would be in the mood. And then we would just work out a little bit. It wasn't anything too intensifying. But after, we would just kind of get the late night workout done, and then we would sort of just snack on just whatever's out there, and like talk a little bit, and then just kind of go home, kind of like retreat for the night. And when I got home, it was mostly just like nighttime meditation, kind of just feeling that the neighborhood is kind of like quiet and less safe. Nothing's gonna happen if I go to sleep right now, and kind of just smoke and not think about lives. And this is something I noticed in life, but I forgot to mention it in the previous confessional. But this is something I noticed, is that people don't like it when you talk to yourself. Like, I remember when I got fired from Chipotle, I was so pissed off and mad that I started like freaking out in my car and like talking to myself and like yelling, and I couldn't stop. Like, if I just had a thought, I would just have to yell it out or something, and it just wouldn't stop for like the longest time. I was that mad or that angry, and I've never been that way in my whole life. So I don't know why that occurred. I don't know why that was happening to me. And when other people catch you talking to yourself or like doing that, like, I notice they get really uncomfortable and they almost don't know what to do. Like, they have to try to get someone to calm you down and stuff, and no one really likes it when you talk to yourself. Like, I noticed at home, like before, like I would do that, and like my dad would get so worried because he was like, my son, like, he's just in his room like studying or playing games, and I've never heard a peep come out of his room when he's by himself ever. Like, when he was a little kid or when he was like a teenager growing up, I've never heard my son talk to himself ever. So he got really worried and he thought something was wrong with me. And I can believe that because, like, yeah, I'm an only child. But even when I was a little kid, I never fathomed the notion of wanting to like talk like by myself. Like, I never had imaginary friends. I just never did that when I was a kid or when I was a toddler or like a little child. I've never talked to myself. I've never even like experimented with the thought of like, oh, what if I just talk to myself right now, like in my room by myself? Never thought of that stuff. And it only kind of just jumped out when I was really angry, like when I got fired from Chipotle. That was the only time that ever happened. And now, like, I'm so careful about other people hearing me. Even sometimes when I do this, like, I do kind of hope no one else hears me as I'm doing this, a little bit. But I can always just say like, oh, I'm blogging or whatever. But I was also gonna say like, yeah, no one really likes it. I don't think it's socially acceptable to do that like in public or around other people. And like last night, I was like toying around with the idea of like talking by myself, because like the stuff I was thinking about wasn't really like hitting me as hard as I wanted it to. So I was like, I'm just gonna verbalize stuff a little bit, like muttering to myself or something, just so I can hear myself a little bit better. And it was just okay. It wasn't life changing, but yeah. So, I mean, those are the kind of things I think about. I think I'm a pretty simple guy, like, I just like doing this. I just like talking like other guys do when they're around each other. Like, I don't have some super kind of like setup where I can show the video games I'm playing or anything like that. But okay, I only have like 20 seconds. So I have to go. Alright, see you later, alligator.